The bullet entered through the back of his skull. She heard it crack. 3 men in black suits stood over the body, and one of them turned toward her hiding spot. That night she witnessed a murder. What happened next destroyed her entire life. This is her story. The bullet entered through the back of his skull. Yuna heard the wet crack before she understood what it meant. The man collapsed forward onto the shipping container, his briefcase spilling open, white powder packets scattering across the wet concrete like fallen snow. Blood pooled beneath him, mixing with rainwater, spreading in dark rivulets toward the drain where she crouched. She pressed her hand over her mouth. Don't breathe, don't move, don't exist. 3 men in black suits stood over the body. The one who fired, tall, perfectly still, lowered his weapon with the casual precision of someone checking the time. He said something in Korean she couldn't hear over the rain hammering the metal roofs of the industrial complex. Another man laughed. The sound carved through her chest like glass. They were 15 meters away, maybe less. Her phone vibrated in her pocket. The notification light blinked through the fabric of her jacket. Once, twice, a small blue pulse in the darkness. The tall man's head turned. Yuna's heart stopped. 48 hours earlier, her life had been different. Not good, not easy, but survivable. She'd worked the morning shift at the convenience store near Sinchon Station, the afternoon cleaning offices in Gangnam, and the evening tutoring English to a middle schooler whose mother watched her with suspicious eyes, as if poverty might be contagious. By the time she returned to her Gosiwon, a room barely larger than a coffin, with walls so thin she could hear her neighbors breathing, it was past midnight. Her phone showed 3 missed calls from her mother in Manila. Yuna stared at the screen, calculating. The remittance was due in 5 days. She'd sent less than usual last month. Her younger brother needed new textbooks. Her father's medication had increased in price. Her mother's voice on their last call had carried that particular weight, the one that meant choosing between food and electricity. She opened her banking app. 340,000 wons remaining. Rent was 280,000 wons. That left 60,000 wons for 2 weeks of food, transportation, and everything else required to stay alive in Seoul. The math didn't work. It never did. She lay on the thin mattress staring at the water stain on the ceiling that looked like a map of somewhere she'd never visit, and felt the exhaustion settle into her bones like sediment. 24 years old, a degree she couldn't afford to finish. A visa that expired in 8 months. A family that needed her to be successful while she was barely surviving. Sleep came eventually, heavy and dreamless. The next day repeated the pattern. Work, transit, work. Messages from classmates about an assignment she hadn't started. An email from the university about unpaid tuition. A text from her manager at the convenience store asking if she could cover an extra shift this weekend. Yes, she replied. She always said yes. That evening after tutoring, she took the wrong bus. It was a small mistake. She was tired, distracted by her phone, trying to calculate if she could skip meals for 3 days to send an extra 50,000 wons home. She looked up and didn't recognize the neighborhood. Industrial, dark. The kind of area that emptied after sunset. She got off at the next stop, checking her map application. A 30-minute walk back to familiar territory, or wait 40 minutes for the next bus. She started walking. The streets narrowed, warehouses lined both sides, their windows dark or broken, shipping containers stacked like a maze. The only light came from scattered street lamps, most of them flickering. Rain began to fall, light at first and heavier, soaking through her jacket. Her phone showed 8% battery. That's when she heard the voices. Male, Korean, angry. Instinct told her to turn around, but the voices came from the direction she'd been walking. She stopped, pressed against a container, listening. A shout, a crash, something metal hitting concrete. Then the gunshot. She should have run. Later, replaying this moment endlessly in her mind, she'd wonder why she didn't. Curiosity, shock, the paralysis that comes when reality breaks its own rules. She moved toward the sound instead. Through gaps between containers, she could see them. 4 men in a clearing between warehouses, one on his knees, hands behind his head, the other standing. One of them, the tall one, raised a pistol. The kneeling man started begging. The words spilled out rapid fire, desperate, incomprehensible to her limited Korean. The tall man fired. Yuna's legs went weak. She grabbed the container for support, her hands slipping on wet metal. She stumbled backward into a shallow drainage ditch, landing hard on her side, water soaking through her clothes. Don't breathe, don't move, don't exist. She could see them between the containers. The tall man handed the gun to another man, who wrapped it in cloth. They were discussing something, calm, professional. As if they'd just completed paperwork instead of ending a life. Her phone vibrated. The notification light pulsed blue through her jacket. The tall man's head turned. His eyes swept the darkness. Yuna pressed deeper into the ditch, water filling her nose and mouth. She bit her lip to keep from gasping. Blood spread across her tongue. She'd bitten too hard. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming closer. She closed her eyes. A prayer formed in her mind, wordless and desperate. The footsteps stopped. Silence. Just rain in her heartbeat and the sound of water draining through metal grates. Then voices again, farther away. Car doors opening, engine starting. She waited, 5 minutes, 10, until the only sounds were rain and distant traffic. When she finally moved, her entire body shook so violently she could barely stand. She climbed out of the ditch, soaked, freezing, her mind blank except for one thought, get away, get away, get away. She ran. She didn't go to the police. What would she say? She'd witnessed a murder but couldn't identify anyone except vague descriptions. She didn't know where exactly it happened. She was a foreign student on a visa, working more jobs than legally allowed. Getting involved with police meant questions she couldn't answer, attention she couldn't afford. So she went home, showered until the hot water ran out, and tried to pretend it hadn't happened. For 2 days it almost worked. She went to class, she worked her shifts. She ate instant ramyeon and translated English documents for cash. She sent money home. She existed in the narrow space between exhaustion and collapse. But at night, she saw it. The man falling, the blood spreading, the casual way they discussed it afterward. On the 3rd day, she noticed him. He was sitting in the cafe across from the convenience store where she worked the morning shift. Tall, black coat, watching. Coincidence, she told herself. Seoul had 10 million people. Everyone looked at everyone. But he was there again that evening, standing near the subway entrance when she left the office building she cleaned. He didn't approach, didn't speak. Just stood there, a fixed point in the crowd. Fear crystallized in her chest, sharp and cold. She took a different route home, getting off 3 stops early, walking through crowded streets. She kept checking behind her. Nothing, no one. Relief started to settle in as she turned down the alley toward her Gosuwon. He was standing at the entrance. Up close she could see him clearly for the first time. Late 20s, maybe 30. Sharp features. Expensive clothes, the kind of face that belonged in fashion advertisements, and eyes that held absolutely nothing. Miss Park Yuna, he said. Perfect English, calm voice. Like they were old friends meeting for coffee. Her body went cold. I'm not. You dropped this. He held out her student ID. She hadn't dropped anything. Her ID was in her wallet. She could feel the weight of it in her bag. But the card in his hand looked identical. Her photo, her name, everything correct except this was a copy, which meant, how do you know my name? He smiled. The expression didn't reach his eyes. I know everything about you, Miss Park. You're 24. Student visa, expires August 14th. You work 3 jobs, send money to Manila every month. Your brother is 13. Your father has diabetes. Your mother works at a textile factory. You owe the university 4,200,000 wons in unpaid tuition. Each fact landed like a physical blow. You're very tired, he continued. You sleep 4, maybe 5 hours a night. You skip meals. Yesterday you had coffee for breakfast, nothing for lunch, convenience store kimbap for dinner. You're afraid. You should be. What do you want? Her voice came out smaller than she intended. Wednesday night, 9:47 p.m. Iljiro Industrial Complex. You were there. The blood drained from her face. I didn't see anything. You're lying. Still calm, still polite. You saw everything. You were hiding behind container number G447. You fell into the drainage ditch when your phone vibrated. You bit your lip. When you ran, you took the service road, not the main street. You got home at 10:23 p.m. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process how he knew details even she barely remembered. Please, I won't tell anyone, I swear. I didn't see your face. I can't identify anyone. I'm standing right in front of you. The simple logic of it crushed her. He was right. She could identify him now, which meant she ran. She made it 4 steps before she realized how pointless it was. He didn't chase, didn't call out. He just stood there, watching. She stopped at the end of the alley, chest heaving, nowhere to go. "Come back, Miss Park," not a request, a statement of fact. Her legs moved against her will, carrying her back toward him. "Better," he said. "I don't like chasing. It's undignified. Are you going to kill me? That depends entirely on you." Rain started falling again. Light drops at first, then heavier. Neither of them moved. "My name is Kang Minho," he said. "You don't need to remember it, but I prefer proper introductions. I work for people who value discretion. You become a problem. Problems get solved. Do you understand?" She nodded. "Good. Now we discuss solutions." He gestured to a black car parked at the curb. She hadn't noticed it before. "Get in. What if I scream? What if I run? There are people. There are cameras," he pointed. She looked up and saw them, 3 visible from where they stood. "They stopped working 10 minutes ago. The nearest police station is 2 kilometers away. Response time in this neighborhood is approximately 8 minutes. You would be dead in 2. So would your neighbor in room 304, the student who plays guitar too loud. Do you want him to die because you screamed?" The casual way he said it, the specific room number, the detail about the guitar, made it real in a way that threats about her own death couldn't. She got in the car. The interior smelled like leather and something else. Expensive cologne, maybe. The driver didn't turn around, didn't acknowledge her existence. Minho slid in beside her. They drove in silence. She watched the city pass, familiar streets becoming unfamiliar, then foreign entirely. They were leaving Seoul, heading toward darkness and empty roads. "Where are you taking me?" "To have a conversation. You could have done that at my apartment. Too many variables. Too many witnesses. I like controlled environments." The car turned down a private road. Gates opened automatically. A mansion materialized from the darkness. Modern architecture, floor-to-ceiling windows, the kind of wealth Yuna had only seen in dramas. Inside, everything was pristine. White marble floors. Minimalist furniture. Art on the walls that probably cost more than her entire education. Minho led her to a sitting room, gestured to a chair. "Tea?" The absurdity of the question almost made her laugh. Almost. "No, thank you." He poured himself a cup anyway. Sat across from her. Studied her face like she was a painting he was considering purchasing. "You're afraid, but you haven't cried. You're processing options, looking for exits. That's good. Intelligence is valuable. I'm not valuable. I'm nobody. I saw something I shouldn't have, but I won't tell anyone, I swear." "Everyone says that. I mean it. So did the last 3 people who witnessed something they shouldn't have." He sipped his tea. "They're all dead now. Not because they talked, because they existed. Do you understand the difference?" She did. She understood perfectly. It didn't matter what she promised. Her existence was the problem. "Please." Her voice cracked. "I have a family. They depend on me. My brother, he's just a kid. He needs. I know about your family. I told you. I know everything." He set down his teacup. "Which brings us to your choice." "What choice?" "Option 1, you die tonight. Painlessly, if that matters. Your body is never found. Your family receives a message that you decided to stay in Korea, that you'll send money when you can. Eventually they stop hoping. Life continues." Yuna's hands gripped the armrests of the chair. "Option 2, you live. But not as Park Yuna. That person dies tonight regardless. You become someone else, someone useful." "Useful how?" "I have business interests. Some require a woman who speaks English, Korean, and Tagalog. Someone educated. Someone who understands poverty and desperation. Someone who can move through certain spaces without attracting attention." He leaned forward slightly. "Someone who has nowhere else to go. You want me to work for you. I want you to belong to me. There's a difference." The distinction chilled her more than any threat had. "And if I refuse? You don't have that option. I'm giving you the illusion of choice because it makes people more compliant. But we both know you'll say yes. Because you want to live. Because your family needs you. Because you're a survivor, Miss Park. And survivors do what's necessary." He was right. God help her, he was right. She thought of her mother, her brother, her father. What would happen to them if she disappeared? They'd grieve, yes, but they'd survive. Her mother would work longer hours. Her brother would drop out of school. Her father's medication would become a luxury. They needed her alive more than they needed her moral. What do I have to do? Minho smiled. This time it almost looked genuine. First, you disappear. You'll send a message to your family tonight. You've decided to drop out of university, travel for a while, figure things out. You're sorry. You'll contact them when you're settled. They'll be hurt, but they'll accept it. They won't believe that. They will. Because I'll make sure you send enough money that their disappointment is softened by relief. And then you learn how to move in my world, how to listen without hearing, how to see without witnessing, how to exist without questioning. And if I make a mistake, then people die. He stood. But not you, never you. You're too valuable now. But your brother, he walks home from school alone, doesn't he? Your mother takes the bus to work. Your father visits the clinic every Thursday. They're very vulnerable, Miss Park. Remember that. The threat was clear, absolute, inescapable. Do we have an agreement? Yuna looked at him, really looked, saw the emptiness behind his polite mask. Understood that she was staring at someone who viewed human life the way normal people viewed insects. Fascinating sometimes, but ultimately disposable. She'd witnessed a murder 3 days ago. Tonight she was witnessing her own. Yes, she whispered. Good. He checked his watch. You have 20 minutes to compose a message to your family. Make it convincing. I'll be reading it before you send. He left her alone in the pristine white room. Yuna pulled out her phone. Her hand shook as she typed. Mom, I'm sorry. I need to figure some things out. I'm leaving Seoul for a while. Don't worry about me. I'll send money. I love you. She stared at the words. 24 years of life reduced to 3 sentences. Her finger hovered over the send button. Through the window, she could see the city lights in the distance. Seoul, a place where she'd come to build a future, where she'd worked herself to exhaustion chasing a dream that had never been real. She pressed send. The message disappeared. Somewhere in Manila, her mother's phone would light up. Questions would follow. Worry. Maybe even understanding. But Yuna would never answer them. Park Yuna, the girl who studied too hard, who worked too much, who loved her family too fiercely, was gone. The door opened. Minho stood in the doorway, backlit by the hallway light. Welcome to your new life, he said. And in the reflection of the window, Yuna saw herself disappear into darkness.